Ah, check. There we go.
It works.
It works. So this is my second year going to Cuba. Um, it's funny. I actually had God kind of speak to me afterwards about just following His word. Right? We talk about tithing as a church. That's what the word says. So therefore we tithe. Um, but the Great Commission says go. Right? And so that's one thing that I really um, put forth. Like I said last year, I'm going to Cuba no matter what. Don't care about finances. Don't care about. I do care about my job, um, but I will. God will make a way. But that's what I wanted to do, and I'm so thankful that I did. I encourage everybody to go. Just don't take my seat, please. um, or Manuela's. Um, but yeah, so that's just a little thing that I got after I got back. Wanted to share three quick stories. I only have about 30 more minutes left of my testimony. Um, so strap in. No, so it's funny because we all have our own little groups that we work with. Um, Fortunately, my partner is not here, so so none of my stories have been shared. But so the first day, right, we go through our classes. We kind of explain what we're doing or what we're going through with the kids because they have no idea. They're just like, hey, I was told to be here and I get to go play football later. Um, so at the end of the class, you ask, has everyone accepted the Lord into their heart? I had a class of 21 people that first day. Um, one, one kid raised his hand. His name's Manuel. He's probably about this tall. He's a little guy, and he just brought joy to my heart watching him play football. But he raised his hand, and I said, "All right." So we all gathered around. We did the whole repeat after me. That way he doesn't feel out on his own. And so he accepted the Lord into his heart that day. We went off. He played football. He went and told his leader later on that night that his mom had cancer, and she was going under surgery within the next few weeks. He was very concerned. He's one of 7 kids. His mom has triplets. She has a set of twins. Like she has 7 kids, and he's one, and he's worried about his family. And it just brings tears to my eyes just thinking about him. And so Sonia, who was our leader, came up and shared that with me. Hey, he brought this to me. We want to pray for him. And I said, of course. Um, so we prayed over his mom for protection for his family, just to make sure that his family's all right going through this trial that they're about ready to. And later on that day, I guess that night he spoke to his parents, and his mom's cancer has shrunk so much that they actually aren't going to perform surgery. They don't have to actually do surgery. Um, that that same night, our schedules got mixed around like it always does. We got a really early night. It was like 8 p.m., 8:30, and we were going back to the hotel, which anyone who's been to Cuba knows we don't go back to the hotel until about 11 p.m. So it was a really early night. On the bus ride home, Pastor Ben's talking. I'm not listening. Uh,
Most of the time.
Not today, Ben. Um, but yeah, so I was actually listening to God, and God was imparting on my heart to start our class with prayer that next day. It was the third day going in, and I thought that's odd, right? So we always start, with the curriculum, pray afterwards. Typically, the way things go. Turns out that night, right around when I was hearing this from God, my boys were playing soccer, at least one of them, and he hurt his foot. Um, Allegedly broke his foot. It was bad.
That was
It
two of
was
our nurses. So we took nurses on the trip with us. And it was the nurses who said the foot was broken.
yes. It was probably good baseball, maybe softball size swelling in his right foot. Um, the next morning when I came in, and so I was like, all right, this must be what it's about. We're gonna start with prayer requests. This is it. That was the only prayer request, was his foot, and so we prayed over his foot. I could see him sitting there antsy in class. His foot's still hurting. And so once we finished our first session, I went down and I got Betty and Brenda, who are the two nurses with us, and I said, "Hey, can you come up and take a look at his foot? You guys are professionals. Just take a look at it. Let me know what you think." And so they gave him some ibuprofen. They prayed over him. They told him go to the hospital. uh, so they left and they went to the hospital. But the hospital in Cespedes couldn't do X-rays. Not sure why, but for whatever reason they couldn't do it. So they came back and they were sitting in class. And I literally saw his foot just begin to shrink back to a normal size throughout the rest of this class. And later on that day, we went down. He was telling me the pain's not hurting. It's not hurting him anymore. And you just saw him strap on his soccer cleats and go play soccer. And that was it. That was the last I heard of it. Like, he's playing soccer. The next day, he's perfectly fine walking around on it. And it was amazing because what was broken is now not. And it's just something that happens right in front of you, and it's undeniable. And my last story kind of partners with Terry's story. During Liz's testimony, Liz was one of the girls on the trip. She has a powerful testimony, which I'm sure you'll try and get her here to share it. But we were up on the third floor, and I saw the two angels standing behind her while she was like in the midst of her testimony, like standing there ready to heal, just standing there with her right behind her. And right after she finished her testimony, we went into a time of prayer. And that's actually when we prayed for Jorge, and Terry had his vision, which just confirms to me what I saw. So I absolutely thank you, Terry, for sharing your vision. But yeah, so I mean, it just changes you. You just don't want to go back to the way you are, and so that's my mission, is not to. God's relit a fire. I had burning embers. It's kind of died down, but I know He wants that flame nice and bright. So